They said to you to stop the crimes, stop the killing, stop the starvation, send assistance to the Palestinian people in Gaza, including in northern Gaza. Don't stop the humanitarians from conducting their business. You don't listen. You listen to the noise in your head, but you don't listen to the distinguished member of the Security Council, who are some of them advising you with a solidarity with you, and you don't even listen. Keep dreaming. Surrender will never be an option. Freedom will not be surrendering. The Palestinian people will not surrender. We will continue our struggle for freedom and to put an end to this illegal occupation, as the International Court of Justice has articulated. Representative of an occupying power that has his government and his army killed more than 44,000 Palestinian civilians and possibly 10,000 more under the rubbles, and injured more than 100,000 Palestinian civilians. Most of them are women and children. Does he really has the credentials or the credibility to speak about the Palestinian people and his concerns about them? He represents a government, the head of it is a war criminal in which a warrant of arrest by a very important court, global court, the ICC, has issued that warrant of arrest for him. And the entire membership of the ICC, including all members of the European Union, all the states who are friends of the State of Israel, announced in the name of Mr. Borrell, their foreign minister, that all member states of the European Union, member of the ICC, and others, said that they honor and respect the independence and the position of the ICC. And even today, the 15 members of the Security Council, the representative of the occupying authority, the representative of those who committed genocide, was not listening to any one of you, because all of them, they said to you to stop the crimes, stop the killing, stop the starvation, send assistance to the Palestinian people in Gaza, including in northern Gaza. Don't stop the humanitarians from conducting their business. You don't listen. You listen to the noise in your head, but you don't listen to the distinguished member of the Security Council, who are some of them advising you with a solidarity with you, and you don't even listen. It's either your way and the highway, and it is going to be the way of the international community, the Security Council, and you are going to be running on the highway. You do not have credibility. You don't listen. And they keep telling you the same messages, still you don't listen. Listen to them. Listen to international law. Listen to what the UN stands for. Don't try to change things and to tailor a system which is a system completely in contradiction with what we all agree to. That will never happen. Wake up. Listen to the international community. Listen to justice. Listen to fairness. Listen to the people who want their hostages to be released, not to be killed on a daily basis. Ceasefire. Ceasefire now. Hundreds of millions of people are saying that in all corners of the globe. Listen to them, including Israel, including Jews in the United States of America, and their youth in universities, at the colleges. They're telling you ceasefire, ceasefire now. This is how the hostages will be released. You're not listening to anyone. You're listening to extremism, to fanaticism, in order to shield war criminals who justify mass indiscriminate killing and starvation of an entire civilian population. They are the ones who cynically explain that settlers should be supported and that the indigenous people should be forcibly removed. They are the ones who consider that rights vary according to nationality or faith. To them we say, if you are not able to be on the right side, then at least step aside. No, Netanyahu is not Dreyfus. Netanyahu is not Dreyfus, as the arrest warrant against him has nothing to do with his faith and everything to do with his crimes. Stand up to his divergence and distortions, to his smearing, his threats and attacks. The ICC, the ICJ, this Council and the General Assembly, the Secretary General and the United Nations are not anti-Semitic. I repeat, they are not anti-Semitic. And Netanyahu's efforts to frame efforts to uphold international law as anti-Semitic must be firmly rebuked. No one should accept such rhetoric, and no one should shy away from taking every step necessary to advance accountability, freedom, and peace. No one should be deterred by the Israeli government's bullying and blackmail. You should not be deterred by the Israeli government's lies and crimes. The Israeli government should be the one to be deterred by your ability and insistence to uphold the law and the truth. You must act now to restore primacy to international law, to the humanitarian and human rights laws that Israel is shredding to the detriment of all. Madam President, Palestinians in Gaza are bracing for another winter as they live in makeshift tents, besieged and bombed, without any infrastructure to sustain life, amidst all the destruction and death, and while famine has made its way into what remains of their lives. How much more suffering must they endure? Their agony must be brought to an end, and life and hope must be restored. Madam President, Israel's war machine must be stopped in Palestine and in Lebanon. It is sowing the conditions of insecurity and hatred for decades. What our region needs is not more wars, but a just and lasting peace. What our region needs is not more occupation and annexation, but respect for the right of peoples to self-determination and sovereignty, and upholding the universal prohibition of the acquisition of land by force. This Israeli government has its plan, the general's plan in Gaza and the settlers' plan in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. These plans are the prolongation of the dispossession and displacement of the Palestinian people over decades, with the certainty of more misery and more death if they refuse. What is the international community's plan? What is your plan, the mighty Security Council? It is enshrined in the UN Charter. That's what should be your plan. UN resolutions and ICJ rulings. However, it requires that decisive measures to be taken to uphold it, to implement this plan, to take it beyond words into deeds, to stop Israeli airplanes, tanks, and bulldozers, to save the millions of children, women, and men whose lives are imperiled, and to short an irreversible pathway to freedom and justice, the only way to achieve shared peace and security. That is the plan. That should be your plan. Do not allow a solvable political conflict to be transformed into an eternal religious conflict. Don't allow that to happen. This would have terrible, unimaginable consequences for our region and the world. The fate of our region is being determined in Gaza. The fate of our region is being determined in Gaza. And if the horrors continue, it is easy to foresee what that fate would be. Either Gaza becomes the graveyard of international law or the land of its resurrection. The choice is simple and clear, and it is yours. The Israeli government expects the Palestinian people to surrender. We will never surrender. For governments to surrender, the choice is yours. The UN to surrender. The UN should never surrender. International courts to surrender. They should not surrender. And to betray every principle humanity has ever pledged to uphold and every rule humankind has enacted. Surrender is not an option. Freedom will not be surrendered. The Palestinian people will not surrender. We will continue our struggle for freedom and to put an end to this illegal occupation as international law. Surrender is not an option. We need to collectively fight back with every legitimate tool at hand to change history's trajectory, to save lives, and all lives, not the lives in your mind, all lives, to uphold the law, to achieve freedom, justice, and peace. As we approach the commemoration once more of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, which we will commemorate tomorrow with the presence of your participation of the Security Council through Madam President. We appeal to you to uphold your commitments, your responsibilities, your obligations, to act now, to protect civilian life, to bring an end to this abhorrent illegal situation, and to end the historic injustice inflicted upon the Palestinian people. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, colleagues, members of the Security Council.